Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast, sponsored by PrizePicks. My name is Adam Cohn. I am your host, joined by my co-host, Dan Welch. Dan, we got a $10,000 to first place tourney! Let's go!
It's about time, Adam. It's about time.
Look, that Large Field GPP yesterday, the $10, that filled up quickly.
You'll love to see it.
So let's keep that momentum rolling, everybody. With that being said, the CSGO Clutch Podcast is sponsored by PrizePicks. Head over to prizepicks.com, sign up using the promo code CLUTCH. Again, that's promo code CLUTCH. New depositors get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Alright, Dan, let's get into it like we always do here on the podcast. When we've had a main slate before and we have a podcast afterwards, we are going to review the winning lineup. Kind of, sort of what we expected. So congratulations to Husky Racing 7 on the solo takedown of $5,000. Look, we called it yesterday. Stalin was way too cheap. $7,000 too cheap. Unless we talked about the pre-pod. But we did say all 5 of Heroic were in play. And boy, were they. Tessus went absolutely off. 42, 5, and 13. A 1v2 clutch and a 4K. 93.5 DK points.
And how many rounds of play? Was it like they won 5 rounds total?
Bad News Bears won 5 rounds total.
So what's that, 5 plus 5? So 6, 32, 37 rounds. Oh, man. That's over 2 DK points per
16-1
round.
on Mirage, and that was Bad News Bears' pick. 16-4 on Nuke.
That was pretty sad.
I
watched some of it.
Yeah, so here are the stats. Everyone was double-digit negative on Bad News Bears, which is kind of crazy. So Tessus was plus 29, Stown plus 16, Cadium was plus 14, Shush was plus 10, and Refresh plus 9. Winning lineup did have a 3 heroic combination of Captain Stalin with Tessus and Refresh, a 2-man stack of Team Vitality of Zywu and Apex. You said how much you like Apex yesterday on the pod. And then rounding it out was Degster, who was plus 12 on the day. He had an insane Dust 2 and then solid maps the rest of the way. Like if we head back here to this match, like the plus 12 stands out, but if we head us over to Dust 2, he was plus 16. On Inferno, he was plus 2.
He was doing some good T-side hopping on Inferno, too.
And then Ancient, he was minus 6. But Team Spirit got crushed on Ancient.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I had some Spirit in my lineups.
So I think what we take away from this is because of Dexter's one lucky map, he was, I wouldn't say lucky, but like, Dust 2, we know it's an Opera's map, Dexter being the Opera for Team Spirit. You know, that's pretty, where he got a bulk of his things. He just, wrote it out on Inferno and Ancient. But, Dan, you and I are kind of burying the lead here, and we'll get into it when we get into the breakdown for today's podcast. But, no Zipex.
Yeah, Zipex is gone.
Well, he's not gone. He is the substitute for this tournament. Lucky is going to be opping for Astralis.
Yeah, and with the results today, I mean, I'm pretty sure that
overall,
Lucky's got a spot.
Lucky was plus 1.
His first tier 1 match.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Held his own.
Yeah. Spirit's no joke.
Nope. But so I'm happy for him. Kid's getting a shot. However, we take a look back to this and we look at the lineup construction. 3 Heroic makes logical sense. A captain from Heroic really makes sense. 2 Team Vitality against Ents makes sense. It's the Dexter call. You took the leverage of Team Spirit against Astralis, even though Astralis won. It went 3 maps, and Dexter just ended up being the one you needed. I like the call, because it was different to get off of Mir. And it was different to get away from any of the other guys on Team Spirit, and any of the guys on Team Astralis, for that matter. I like the call. I like the lineup construction here.
Yeah, I like the 3-2-1. I didn't like heroic at first until the match ended. But it was clear that no one was going to be beating, you know, even probably Cadian. I mean, I guess Zaiwu outscored Cadian, but Cadian's down. Well, it would have been too expensive, but yeah, Stown. What does Stown have? 83 PK points.
He had 124.5 points on the captain. Let's find, yeah, 83 points flat for Stown on the flex.
Yeah, I mean that's a high number. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
no, you can't like expect anyone other than Zaiwu probably to beat that score. So
Yeah. I mean, we should talk about the second place team too. Nate Doggy Dog 32. Same lineup.
why not?
Had Kyojin at
Ah,
9.7% owned.
same lineup with Kyojin. Interesting.
Kyojin 36, 7, and 32 with a 1v2 clutch.
Okay.
I
I'm sorry.
I think they found something in him, or
Yeah,
he's
he's
hitting
good.
his stride. So, and shout out to our friend Chris Slam 92 as well, taking home fourth and tying for seventh. Not bad at all.
No,
Anything else you want to talk about here from Husky Racing 7's winning $5,000 lineup?
no, it's. I mean, there's nothing crazy there. So
Nope. Alrighty then. Let us get into it. Alright, we're going to break down the 3-game DraftKings main slate for August 17th. But before we do that, hit that like button down below, ladies and gentlemen. Leave a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button. Really helps us out, build out those YouTube algorithms. And I do want to say, Dan, to you as well, and to all of our listeners, I am looking into podcasting. I'm looking in specifically into podcasts where we could do TV, where our friends on YouTube that are watching us will be able to get us onto different podcasting stations like Apple Podcasts and maybe even like a
nice.
Spotify. So I'm doing a little bit more research into that. I know there are some podcasts out there that have their audio only version and they have their, you like, if you're on TV or you have some sort of video, you can do like a video podcasting but still listen to the podcast. So I'm looking into both avenues. So just wanted to give everyone a peek behind the curtain. We get that working as well. So we want to grow this podcast. We want to grow Counter Strike DFS, and Dan and I think we have a good product. We got good chemistry here with each other, and we both really like Counter Strike and Counter Strike DFS and DFS in general. So we want to see this get bigger and better, and really hope you guys out there really win some money. So since there really isn't a lot of CS:GO DFS content out there, there are some places that have it. Run Pure Sports we know has some Counter Strike stuff. Roto Grinders has some Counter Strike stuff. Shout out to my buddy. I don't want to butcher his name. So give me 1 second. You Kill Bill Walsh over at Run Pure Sports. Great guy and very knowledgeable about Counter Strike DFS as well. So we're happy you're here. We're happy you're tuning in to hear the CSGO Clutch podcast. So again, hit that like button and that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. The more traffic we generate, the better it is for the YouTube algorithm. And again, once we get the podcast up and running as a traditional podcast, it will only going to get bigger and better. Thank you all for tuning in early and getting in early. Alrighty, Dan, with that being said, let's get into game one here on this slate. It's Team Vitality versus the Bad News Bears. This feels like deja vu for yesterday. All 5 members of Team Vitality are in play. You can play Bad News Bears if you want.
Wait, Spongey's out now?
Is he?
Didn't he play today?
He was listed as out yesterday, I think, wasn't he?
Oh. Is that Spongy and Chixu? Yeah, I was pretty sure that he was in.
Spongey's here.
Okay. That's interesting. Talk about leverage. I mean, I think it's a better matchup than yesterday in hindsight, for the Bears.
Yeah,
But, yeah,
and I mean, that's fair. I have interest in 20 maxes and above. At like 20%. I'm not like... The Bad News Bears didn't exactly instill much confidence in their gameplay. I didn't watch any of the game, but those stats just stick out. No one was even single digit negative. They were all double digit negative. Yikes.
Yeah, it's rough. But when Testis is popping off, I mean, he can do that to anybody.
It's fair.
So,
For me, again, I'm going right back to the well of Masuda. I actually really like Kyojin in this matchup. Um, so 1 for me, Masuda. 2, Kyojin. I know, ballsy. Actually, I'll go 2 Zyru, 3 Kyojin, Apex 4, Shocks 5. We haven't seen it from Shocks in 8600.
yeah,
It's
not
too
worth it.
much money. I'm
Trox
sorry.
is washed. I'm sorry, but he is washed. I've seen him miss some really easy shots too, like sitters and it's a little concerning. He's 30.
Yeah, it's older for a player, but again, it's like he's 30. Who cares? Um,
Don't
but
don't
it
don't do it.
crazy. All right. Anything else you want to talk about here? We can move on from this game rather quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I could potentially see a fade of Zaiwu as a pretty good play, maybe, just because the guys in the front lines are getting all the kills.
I
But
can see
you
that.
know, it's Zaiwu. He's gonna eat if he can. So
Oh, for sure.
I do like Masuda a lot
Yep,
tomorrow.
I'm going right back to the well on that. Um,
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, if you're taking a shot at anyone on Bad News Bears, I still think it's Junior. He's the most talented out of anyone on that team. And
Swisher looked decent today.
Swisher, I'm fine with. Spongy, I'm fine with. John G, I'm fine with. Shake Zuler, if
He had
you're
a he had a
only max entering.
Swisher had a carry round on Nuke, I believe. And like a couple of close calls as well, where one last kill could have gone his way. It would have been like a 4K and a clutch, but obviously that's not um what's the right word?
Getting it done.
A good strategy, like having one person carry you, so especially
Yeah.
against Vitality.
Yeah. So we will see what happens, but I'm all over Team Vitality in this game. Bad News Bears, 20 maxes and above. And
Yeah,
like I said,
yeah,
Shake Zula
definitely.
is my least favorite on that team. 20 max,
Yeah.
sure. 5%, anything above max entering, sure, get exposure. It's a video game, anything can happen.
Right.
Alright, moving on. Second game here on the slate. Ents versus Astralis. What are your
Mm.
thoughts?
This is kind of a tough for me. It's kind of a tough one, especially since Hades looks so good today. Um, but I don't know what it is, but I just have internal struggle playing Ents against Astralis now. They look pretty special today. So not saying they can't be beaten, but I also think that this might be the leverage most popular leverage spot.
Agreed.
So even though you end up with like a sub 20% or sub 15%, and it might not be enough to take down the 10K. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I just kind of like Astralis in general.
My
So
favorite play on right now, from what I've seen through 2 games, Lucky might be my favorite play on the entire slate.
what's his price? I can't actually see his price. It
$6,000.
looks low. He might be super chalk.
I don't care.
Might be.
I don't care.
Yeah, good chalk.
I think he's good chalk if he's chalk.
Do we
Captain
know what
Lucky.
maps?
I can absolutely see Captain Lucky here.
Sure. Definitely okay with that.
And that would get you, if you wanted to go with Team Vitality stack, Captaining Lucky unlocks Zaiwu and Masuda.
So it looks like we'll probably get Nuke and what is
Mirage.
Ends picking?
Oh no. Astralis Permaban's
No,
Mirage.
yeah,
I could see Dust too.
or maybe Ancient.
Let's take a look.
This could be a good. This is actually a good spot for it.
So Astralis doing the
I would
right
say.
thing of perma-banning Mirage. I am fully on board with that. My friends that play Counter-Strike with me completely understand. I do not like playing Mirage. Probably statistically my
So
worst map.
I'm
Alright,
gonna do a flip flop. I'm gonna take Ents tomorrow.
okay.
I mean, I don't know that I'll go all in on them, but I'll definitely out of 20, I'll have maybe 12 to 15 lineups with Ents.
There you go. Alright,
Yeah.
so with that being said, I think we're going to see... I think we see Inferno. I think we see Nuke. And maybe Vertigo. I can
So
also
you think they'll
see
float Nuke?
I can also see a Dust 2 and Ancient. Excuse me.
So Ents bans Vertigo frequently, I believe.
9 maps played over the last 3 months, 78% win rate.
40% ban rate though.
Do they?
And well, Astralis hates Vertigo, as far as I know. Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah. 70% win rate.
Do they float? What the hell? Well, maybe there's like some old end stats in here from the previous ends
Maybe.
iteration.
I mean, I don't think maps are going to make that much of a difference here. I think Lucky's the play. I think Bubsky's the play. I think I like Glaive a lot as well. I'd probably take Glaive over Bubsky, but I think Bubsky has the higher ceiling. Magisk and
Why
then
don't you think maps
Magisk and
better?
Dupree, so all 5 of Astralis are in play.
I'm just curious. Why don't you think maps would matter?
Because when I pick lineups, I don't sit there and pick maps. That's not how I pick my players. I want to go with stats, and I want to go with like there's no Vinny on this slate, right? Like there's no Sanji on the slate. If we're gonna see like Ancient, we don't know how players are playing on it yet. Nuke is a tough Operas map. Trust me, I try opping with it. I'm better with the AUG on it sometimes. Overpass is a very open map, but these teams have lower win rates on Overpass. Inferno is a very know your angles and nades map. Right, like, and we don't know because we have Astralis incorporating Lucky and Ents incorporating Hades. We just don't know how these teams look right yet. There's not enough sample size and to see how they do. So if it were me, I just don't typically put as much stock into the map selection as some others. That's a personal preference. Unless just something just blatantly sticks out. Like, for example, let's just say it's Diha and he goes nuts on Dust 2. Kind of like when we were looking at RPK back in the day, and we were looking at do we play him, do we not play him, he's cheap, oh, they might play Dust 2, we want to play RPK. Right, like, I don't typically think that way. I just typically go with who I think the better plays are in general. If that makes sense.
I really like Ents.
I can't fault you.
I might lock Ents,
Ooh, that's ballsy.
and then but at the same time, I think that others will have confidence in Ents.
Look, if you're playing Ents, and does my point about maps make sense though? By the way, like it's more of like a personal preference. Like I know, like and said, see,
Not
folks,
really, but I'll go with it.
see, folks, this is where like Dan and I differ. Dan's heavier sometimes on map selection, and I'm just not as much. So, though it is fun to look at what kind of maps we think are going to get played. That I will say.
For me, it could be like the final deciding factor on who I want to play.
Okay,
Like
that's
just
fair.
like you
That's
said.
fair.
It could also be the tipping point for what team. Like in this situation, okay, so Astralis, good chance they pick Nuke. Ansel's good on Nuke. Ents could pick Vertigo. Astralis has only played Vertigo in the three times, and they have a new guy. And Vertigo is not an
It's
easy
not
map.
traditionally an Opera's map.
Yeah, and a new opera. So like those two things right there are enough for me to be like, yeah, I think and with the leverage possibility, it's like, okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's I wouldn't say it's a no brainer. It's an easy for me. It's my easy DFS call.
Totally fine with that.
And if they lose, whatever. Like,
On to the next slate.
that's it. I'm done.
I would just
you
say
know.
I caution against lock buttoning ends, but I understand the logic if you want to go overweight, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, well. So what's the upside? Like, okay, so if I play Astralis and they're highly owned, like I'm gonna have to
You
like win or
you need to go what 40% on ends, like 40% in the players to be double the field.
probably, yeah, I would say 40. So that's not actually that many in 20
Not
lines.
that many at all. Now, if you really want to go super overweight and you get a great feeling about them, go 50, 60%. You're what 2 to 3x the field, most likely.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because I play the well, I haven't. I have currently I will play I'll probably play the 20 max $1, and
it's good contest.
to have five chalky lineups. It almost seems like a waste of money. You know what I mean? Like, because you probably either you're not going to cash, or if you do, it's going to be like $1.50
Chalk is
on
fine for
one.
cash. Chalk is fine for GPP as long as it's good chalk that you're incorporating with leverage and lower owned plays to try to get the
Yeah,
advantage to take down the GPP. You're entering a GPP, and this is something I'm continuing to tell myself. And as we head into NFL season, one thing that I'm going to be saying a lot is I want to win the GPP. I don't want to min cash. I want
right.
to win. So if I lose
And
more money than I make, I'm aiming for first place. I
I'm slowly getting into that. So I haven't been traditionally, but I am starting to get into that a little
It's
bit
a
more.
tough mindset adjustment. It really is. Like
Yeah.
personally, I still find myself wanting to play safer guys or guys that I think are going to do
Right.
better rather than just like I feel like I'm wasting my money because of a opportunity to, you know, not cash at all. So,
Yeah, it's like what amount of risk do you want? Nathan's
mhm.
been doing really well lately, and we both know that Nathan is. He'll just play like if he thinks there's even a slight chance that like a Bad News Bears could win, he'll play them just because he
Mhm.
knows that if they win and he has them, like he's probably gonna cash or I mean I'm sorry, he's gonna come in like the top 10 or better.
Yep.
So it kind of makes it easy. Um,
So for example, right? As we record this podcast, and this just goes in a little bit with strategy talk, ladies and gentlemen. We still have one other game to get to here, but we're only 22 minutes in, so we could take some time.
yeah.
As we get into this, I played one baseball lineup tonight in the $5 Mega Large Field GPP. Um, so I'll give my boy Derek Carty a free shout out. I use Derek Carty's tool, the Bat for Roto Grinders. Great, great tool, great system. I decided to look at his stacks tool, and I saw a team that was a fantastic high point per dollar ceiling team. And just for example, I'll shout it out here: the Pittsburgh Pirates. I played them, but I also stacked a 5-man stack of the Padres and Coors. And if you play MLB DFS, there's a game in Coors, you want to get some exposure to it. Unless it's
Hmm.
two bad teams and then outright fade it. But more or less than not, because of how Coors plays, how small the field is, and the higher altitude, tend to be more home runs. As we're recording this, it's 1-1 at the top of the third, and I am nowhere near cashing because I got 5 guys going from San Diego, and I got a 3-man stack of Pittsburgh. Garrett Cole is crushing it, but currently the winning lineup with the most points has Brandon Lau one off from Tampa. We got Austin Meadows in there from Tampa. There are a couple other guys in here. The leadoff guy for Colorado homered. Like there are different ways to get different. So you have to think, okay, if I fade Coors, this is baseball. If I fade Coors, what are some other teams on the slate that have that ceiling? What pitchers on the slate have that ceiling. Okay, let's read the Counter Strike. Of these 6 teams, we know Bad News Bears are a somewhat bad team going against a good opposing team. Okay, so you play the baseball, it's like the Marlins facing the Red Sox. Maybe you play one lineup out of 10 with Marlins and the other 9 with Red Sox. So, like, if you want to incorporate that here, you want to play one lineup with a Bad News Bears stack or a Bad News Bears one-off, and you want to play the rest of Team Vitality, that's fine, because at least you're getting some exposure to the leverage that could, in fact, break a slate. So here, Dan wants to play Ents against Astralis. Ents could easily go out in 2-0 Astralis. We've seen crazier things happen. So if he has, let's just say, Spinks, Hades, and Diha, he 3-man stacks Ents. They're some of the 3 highest, points guys on the slate. Dan's in a really good spot to hopefully win a GPP. It's just a matter of incorporating how we think about GPPs versus those safer cash plays. Like, I like Lucky because I think he has a high ceiling. But I also think Lucky has somewhat of a low floor. So, like, I wouldn't call him boom bust, but I would call him a high ceiling play. And I'm playing him for the high ceiling. That makes sense?
Yes.
Excellent. I was going to say, did I put Dan to sleep?
No, I was on mute. Oh man, no. I think it's I just know that from playing. So League of Legends is you can get some great leverage, and it's much easier to do it. And the variance, I mean, bad teams beat good teams all the time. And the way the scoring works, if the winning team typically outscores the losing team by quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So with that experience, seeing like a 5%, I've had 2% captains that there's out of 2,000 lineups, you're in the top 10 immediately. Like you're instantly in the top 10. So having that experience, I'm like, I want that. I want to find those 2% spots or 1% spots where
100%. Now,
because I hate being on the bubble.
Yeah, that's things. Like, I am back doing NFL DFS content this year, and I can tell you for certainty, I'm going to be looking at constructing my lineups differently this year than in years past. I'm probably going to play a little bit more cash, but in my large field GPPs and in GPPs in general, I'm going to target ceiling. 100%. If a game I think maybe has a low total, I don't care, because if I think that game is just wrong, I'm going to go after a team with that can win me a slate. Like week 1 isn't a great example, but let's just say we get I don't know, if a slate has the Packers and the Vikings and I'm trying to think of a high-powered offense, Cincinnati and Houston. Okay, Cincinnati-Houston's probably going to have a very high over-under, or maybe it has 42.5. But maybe Cincinnati's favored by like 13 because of how bad the Houston Texans are. I'm going to still look at it as okay, it's 42.5, but Cincinnati's favored by 13. Their team total's like 31. I'm going to play a lot of Cincinnati. Like,
no, I just want to clarify. So yeah, I mean like with high, I'm not going to go after a game that I think might be low scoring and high leverage. I want high leverage and high scoring. So.
Right. Like for example, there was a couple of years ago. I remember we were playing on a slate. I think it was going good, and then it was the Giants at New Orleans, and that game ended up super high scoring because things just happen. It became a very heavy offensive game. I think Odell Beckham had 3 touchdowns. It was a nutty game. But if you didn't have any exposure to that game, you most likely were not cashing. So crazy things happen. So bringing it all back to Counter-Strike, Crazier things have happened than Bad News Bears going out and beating Team Vitality and having 1 to 3 of their players optimal for DFS. Ents going out and beating Astralis. Crazier things have happened. It's a game. Take your shots, take your stands, grab your leverage. Hopefully your plays just break the right way, and you end up at the top.
Yeah.
All right, so now we've had this strategy session. Anything else you want to talk about for Ents versus Astralis?
No, I like Hence even more now.
There you go.
Leave it.
All right, let's get on to it. Last game here on the slate: Team Spirit versus Heroic. I don't know what to do with this game.
I think Spirit is a bit broken, for lack of a better word.
Someone get the Gorilla Glue or the Super Glue.
Yeah, exactly. Humpty Dumpty. um, so
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they've just become a one-trick pony. And if there's no easy pickings from here, then they're just it's not good.
I think this game can go either way.
Maybe. I don't know. Heroic looks. I mean, let's give Bad News Bears some credit. I mean,
Okay, credit given some.
we're,
You got here. Congrats.
they're professional Counter-Strike players. These guys
They
play
are!
all the time.
But you're going up against these European powerhouses, which, no disrespect to our boys in NA, Europe's a different beast.
I really do think Heroic crushes them. I don't think a 3-man Heroic works, but I think you're gonna need to win.
I don't think the winning lineup tomorrow is going to have a 3-man stack of either of these teams. If
No,
it is, it's
yeah.
Team Spirit, and Heroic just looked lost.
Yeah. I could see a 2-2-1-1 working tomorrow.
Who were you running back with?
It's a good question.
That's a ballsy call, but on a 2,900 entries, crazier things have happened.
I just think they're going to be somewhat close matches. Maybe I'm a little too optimistic on Bad News Bears, but it's like, okay, so let's say Vitality crushes. I don't know if you've seen some Vitality crushes, but they don't seem to score that well. And I don't know. Or it's all concentrated on Zywoo, and maybe Apex.
This is a great MME slate.
It is. It really is.
I'm going to say this, and this is not a cop-out. All 5 members of Team Heroic are in play. If you're in anything greater than a 3 max, all 5 members of Team Spirit are in play. Am I going to probably play all 5 members? Probably not. The ones I'm focusing on, Mir. I'm going back to the well. I understand he burned people. Magic second. I know. That's a ballsy call.
Not really. He's good.
Dexter third, just because I think Cadian's a better opera than Dexter. And I just think if Dexter doesn't get good maps, I think he's in trouble. SDY 4, Chopper 5th. I really like Dexter, though, too. Magisk is just my ceiling call of the day. I don't think... he has a low floor against Heroic. 6,800 if Magisk gets out there and goes... let's just say +5, +10. That might do just enough to get him to be on the winning lineup.
Yeah. He's good.
So
he's young too, so I guess just being young doesn't make a huge difference, but
my favorite play from Heroic is Cadian. Cadian is 7,800. When was the last time we saw Cadian under 8,000?
Yeah, he's my new favorite play.
Tessus once again 9,600. I think that's a tough ask in this spot.
Yeah, Spirit.
It's down at 7,200. I really like Shush at 6,400. And I'm okay with Refresh at 5,400. My 2 favorite players are probably Cadian and Shush. And I think that's going to be a very unique 2-man stack.
Shush is good.
Mm-hmm. Again, the best player on Mad Lions became what? The fourth or fifth best player on Heroic.
Right. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So, anything else talk about from this game before we get into our next segment?
Um. No, I just have to. I mean, I can't say fade Spirit, but I just do not. I do not. I have
You
no
don't trust him.
confidence.
You don't trust him.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us here on Twitter, the podcast, at CSGO Clutch Pod. You can follow Dan on Twitter at Wandelch, Wandelch. One of these days, I'm going to start spelling your Twitter handle. Um,
Wandelch, man.
Wandelch.
Like Dan Welch.
Wandelch. There you go. I keep calling you Wandelch. It's Wandelch.
Well, it's. I mean, that's how you spell wand, right?
Yeah, without the D. So, anyway, Wandelch, ladies and gentlemen. Follow Dan on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamWX21. Last piece of a little bit of housekeeping before we get into our core value, GPP, and team stack segment. If you're interested in NFL, and it's my podcast, I don't care, Dan. If you're interested in NFL DFS, I have joined the main event DFS crew, providing podcasts, articles, and maybe even a live before lock show, which
Oh.
I have done before when I worked at Arbor Pro with CJ Kaltenbach, aka The Siege. And we have some fun stuff planned. And one of the main event guys and myself, we just recorded a very early we recorded a early first look podcast for Draftkings. At some point soon, I'm going to be doing an early first look for FanDuel. And then I'm going to have to take a look at how Prize Picks does their scoring system before I start recommending anything for Prize Picks, because I don't want to give out false, any kind of bad advice or bad information. So, if you're interested, hop on over to the main event DFS Discord. That's MANE. Before I started, I thought it was MAIN. It's MANE. And you can follow them on Twitter at main_event_DFS. And like I said, we got a lot of fun stuff planned for the NFL season, and I'm excited to be joining the crew over there for this season. All right, Dan, with that being said, and again, that's MANE, not MAIN. Dan, core value, large field GPP, and favorite team stack segment. On a great MME slate, who you got for your core?
Cadian. I'm totally stealing.
Totally fine.
Value, I'm going to go with Dodo.
I like that call. I really, really like that call on Dodo. We didn't really talk about him, but I really like that call.
He could almost be like a value / GPP play, but GPP, I'm going to go with probably like anybody from Bad News Bears, but in particular Swisher, just because he has some bright moments today. So
I can see him being positive at the end of that game.
And at his price, he's probably going to be really low owned. Because if anybody if they do go Bad News Bears, are going to one off Junior, John G, or maybe Spongy. But
favorite team stack?
Heroic.
I like it. All right, core play for me. I got two.
Cadian.
No, it's two. It's Masuda and Lucky.
Ooh. Okay.
Because I feel that strongly about both on this slate. Value for me, great pick on Dodo. Junior 4,800. But I'm going to stick with the theme here of Astralis Bubsky at 5,600. I don't understand it. Refresh crazy. Also down here for Heroic at 5,400. He's probably going to be really chalk. My GPP player of the day is Kyojin. I'm sticking to that.
I like it.
Favorite team stack for me is Team Vitality. I'm not getting cute. All right, here we go. Prize pick segment.
Woo!
Woo! Here we go. Let's do this, Dan. We once again have a lot of options here on Prize Picks. Who you like here? I don't know a lot of these other guys from like One Win or any of these other guys here, but like And Goofy I've heard of before. Jecketer I've heard of.
Go back up. Who's Deco playing? Up.
Deco is playing Nexus.
Nexus. That is a high line.
Mm-hmm.
Man is good. I'm gonna go over on Deco,
Okay.
and it's a bit of a gamble.
That's definitely
I
a
just gotta
gamble.
say that. Goofy, 41.5. That's pretty high. I'll
Versus
go under on that.
Illuminar.
Masuda over.
Oh, yeah, smash that over on Masuda at 37.5.
And so that's 3. I'm
Yep.
not gonna go. I kind of like 3, so I'm gonna stop there.
I'm going to go under on Zyro at 42.5. Just because that's going to be a tough line
Yeah.
for anyone to get there in what I think is going to be a very quick 2-0 game. The lines on Janji and Junior are really good. I'm not going crazy there.
Good point. Good point.
I'm going to go over on Hades 35.5.
Yeah, but that's doable.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go under Magisk 39.5. He's just not one of my favorite
I
players.
bet that Hades line moves
I can see that moving.
before.
Now, let me say this about Magisk. I think he ends up around 38, 39 frags. So it's more of a risky call as
Would
well.
not be enough.
Huh?
Yeah.
I think it's a risky call.
Uh,
But I'm going to go under
yeah,
Magisk.
I agree.
But not by much. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out to play some Counter-Strike.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the CSGO Clutch podcast. I would encourage everyone else as well. If you're interested in playing Counter-Strike, feel free to hit me up. Be more than happy to play with some of our listeners. I love this game. Dan loves this game. More than happy hanging out, playing, talking Counter-Strike with you all. With that being said, that's going to do it for us for tonight. I got some more Netflix to watch too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, have a great night, and we will catch you tomorrow for day 3 of Group A for ESL Pro League Season 14. For Dan, I'm Adam. Latest, peoples.